Hey there, everyone. It's Mike Yowit's Savage Kingdoms role-playing game, and Fire in the Head Productions. Trying out my new headset here. Fancy, right? Kind of cool. All right, it's not really that fancy. It's a Logitech, which is awesome, but it's mid-grade, I suppose. Yeah, decided to do a video. I haven't done one in a couple of weeks, and mostly this is to update everybody on how the Savage Kingdoms 3 core rulebook is coming along, particularly those of you who follow Indiegogo or like contributed to the Indiegogo campaign, and people who check the website and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so this should be a pretty brief video about a multiple of things, but mainly it's about the Savage Kingdoms core rulebook. Good news. So we are about a week ahead of schedule. If we, as in myself and the graphic designer, we are at the we're past the proofreading. Really, actually, I guess we're really on kind of final proofreading, final edits, I suppose, is really where we're at. So, and it's the last proofreading pass I did was there were only maybe like a dozen things. Obviously, the end result, there's probably going to be some typos. I'm sure that happens in every role playing. I don't care how big the company is. Wizards of the Coast is they're big and awesome and Paizo, but I swear I see 10 typos in every one of their core rule books. So I'm not so worried about that. So mostly just as long as it's the intent is there and everything is clear and all that stuff. The formatting is decent, and yeah, you want to correct typos, but just know there's probably going to be a couple. It always happens. Not a big deal. So that's where we are in that. The layout looks really cool. I've posted a picture of the to a couple of the social media sites for Savage Kingdoms. The front cover looks really cool. So it's kind of a dragon theme, kind of a little bit of a fire and ice, mostly ice kind of theme. So there's like an ice worm on the front and a warrior facing it. I don't want to overly spoil it, but yeah, it looks pretty cool. The interior's coming along. It looks good as well. There's a couple little things we have to tweak that I wasn't super happy with, but 97% of it I'm like really thrilled about. So Michael Scott Phillips, the graphic designer, has done a great job with it. He helped me with the Reforged book, which was the last edition 3 years ago. So yeah, so an update on that. So that's cool. Book is coming along well. So if we're at the current stage that we're at, the final like art insertion's already been done. I mean, we're literally right just a step before we go to printing. And then we'll get the first proofs of printing, and then for real, once we fix that, if there's anything to be fixed, then it's going out to the Indiegogo supporter, the people that contributed at the high enough level to get the core rulebook, and then it will be for sale as well on Drive-Thru RPG and possibly Amazon.com as well. Excellent. Um, all right, so that's piece of news number one. Number two. So the next thing I'm working on is the Savage East. That's the companion book to the core rule book that expands the setting. So basically, we're calling it a setting expansion book. Um, I could show you the last Savage East if I have a copy laying around. I thought I did, but I apparently don't. Anyway, so in the last edition, we're doing the same model. You have the core rulebook that comes out, and then second, I'm releasing the Savage East, just like the last two editions. It was called the same thing. As I kind of like the name, because it says it all right there. It's part of Savage Kingdoms. As I hit my microphone, it's part of Savage Kingdoms, but also it is the eastern part of the world. So the core rulebook covers the western part of the world, Astagonia, the main, the sort of western continent. So the Savage East will cover the continents of Imanju, Hassan, Ragnagard, and Mezca. Ragnagard and Mezca are like isle continents, little smaller island continents. And the two other that I mentioned, Hassan and Imanju, are major size continents, the size of Astagonia, if not larger. Um, so yeah, there's a kind of like an Asian, African themed place, whereas the core rule book covers kind of a, I guess, more of a European theme. So yeah, it should be cool. And the Savage East will so it'll release playable cultures and races from that part of the world. There'll be new spells as well. There's I think three new callings, maybe four. Callings or life paths are almost like classes, but not really because classes are too restrictive. But they do give you some of that flavor. So, what else do we have? New talents, even some new weaknesses that you can choose from. Fair amount of new talents, actually. Decent amount of new spells, but not like tons of it. I don't think there's any need for tons of them. There'll be some more equipment that are more kind of sort of Arabic and African inspired, probably for not a whole lot, but a little bit more of that. There'll be a gazetteer section chapter, just like in the core rulebook, that'll cover all the geographical areas in the different realms and kingdoms and tribes and that kind of stuff. And bestiary, there'll be new creatures. There'll be a pretty good bit of those actually, because in the core rulebook, the bestiary chapter, it's pretty sizable. Like it's actually larger than probably most core rulebook bestiaries of role playing games, where they only maybe give you like a 20 or 2 dozen creatures, and I think we give you like 40 or 50. But the Savage East will definitely have probably even a larger bestiary to fill all that out. So they'll probably expect probably at least 50 to 60, maybe 70 different new creatures, which also includes NPC templates, different types of non-player characters, as it were. Right. What else can I tell you? What else can I update? Um, that's really it. I just really want to mention where we were in the Savage Kingdoms 3rd edition core rulebook, and what's coming up with Savage East, which is what I'm working on currently. I'm experiencing, I'm going to admit something here, experiencing a slight amount of burnout, as one can imagine. It works on this stuff almost every day, and runs games professionally as well. Um, so it's work, but it's fun. I'm blessed to be able to do this and make like something of a living at it, particularly because my other profession is an actor, and all that is, as you probably have learned, is all sort of dried up this year. A lot of gigs have been pushed to next year, or maybe don't exist at all. We'll have to see what actually happens. So I'm glad to be able to do this to kind of make some kind of income to help out my wife and myself and our 2 kitties, and yeah, and all that stuff. So without getting too personal, what else did I want to mention? I guess that was it. So in a nutshell, Savage Kingdom core rulebook almost there. Should be sending it off in the next week to get a approved copy, and then it should be going out to the supporters of the high enough level and for sale probably in the next. I mean, I don't want to be too, but realistic, probably 3 weeks, maybe a month at the most, which puts us right on schedule, if not slightly ahead of what was promised. Actually, slightly ahead, really. And then I'm working on the Savage East. I'm about 25% through with it. Like I said, experiencing minor burnout. Minor, nothing major. I'm still, which is kind of making me go a little slower right now, but I'll probably get over that next few days. Probably just need a vacation. Um, yeah, I guess that's it. So anyway, thanks for staying tuned, and hopefully that's somewhat informative. A little bit rambling, but that's how these kind of videos go sometimes, especially when you don't bother editing them half the time. And hopefully this microphone and the sound has been really cool. Seems like it will be. And otherwise, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Later.